Shadow Tour Paranormal are at Gloucester Prison. The prison is built on the ruins of an old Norman-era castle, which in turn is said to have been built with stone scavenged from the Roman quay. The rambling prison complex is made up of 3 large wings, and outbuildings, and a smaller debtors' prison. Many have been incarcerated here, for just and sometimes unjust reasons, and then of course there are the executions. They were kept here, shuffled along, before the inevitable day when they were taken to the last room and hung by the neck. We'll be exploring the condemned men's cells in a second.
Hello, welcome to Gloucester Prison. It's a kind of Victorian built on a much older site. Quite large.
And why were we here? It wasn't to hunt ghosts. Instead, we were filming and capturing the place for a map to be featured in Most Haunted, the popular paranormal show. You can see our map in action if you watch the episode.
Spending the night here. Spooky.
The prison was undoubtedly going to take on a different atmosphere after dark. Both Matt Bear Clark and I had arrived in the early afternoon, with a big bag of 3D capturing gear, including a very nifty 360 camera. It is an expensive piece of kit, getting its first proper test run in the huge echoing old prison. After a brief tour by a caretaker, we were left alone to get on with the job in hand, capturing hundreds of 360 captures of the environment. The aim is to create an interactive version of the Most Haunted episodes. Imagine a posh Google Street View inside the prison, lit by a flashlight, and you're able to use ghost hunting gadgets like a video game. The job was a big one, so we split up through the night to cover more ground. I was specifically instructed to record audio and sounds, clanking bars, creaking prison doors, and the general ambience of the place. To be honest, apart from the dull hum of the city, the place was devoid of additional sounds. No natural sounds anyway, unless you count the occasional pigeon. So anything we did here was either mechanical or unexplainable. I took a wander back to what we called the hub, to collect some more batteries, and then planned to head back to Bear.
Right, this is our HQ for the night, because it's got power. Unfortunately, nowhere else particularly does.
The hub, with its functional plug socket, is based in an old guard booth in the middle of the room. It's a ground floor room with 3 cells on either side and a pool table in the middle. The space was for recreation at some point.
We had some strange phenomena with this earlier. We put the pool balls on the table and 2 lots of it have managed to move themselves into rows of 3.
Indeed, the brightly coloured red pool balls had seemed to form neat parallel lines across the table. Very odd. They also appear to point in the direction of a rancid little cell that featured a lot in the Most Haunted episodes.
And the weird thing is, they're pointing at these doors. Number 15 in B wing and 14 in B wing, which is where people have reported phenomena.
Here is the audio from earlier that afternoon, when Bear first noticed the pool balls had formed into lines.
3 in a row.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
They report 3 in a row.
Shine the light on it.
They also report 3 in a row towards that main cell.
Did not.
They did. That's what also happened on the.
Well, when we picked the table up, most of them actually rolled towards the corners. And when I took them out individually. I certainly wasn't putting them in lines of 3. It's also they're quite parallel to each other. Do you know what I mean?
And they are actually pointing at that cell 14.
We know we didn't move the pool balls. So what did? I continued to go about my mission.
It suddenly gets very dark.
recording sounds and ambience of the prison. In a very dark corridor, I spot a little sign saying padded cell.
Ooh. Ah, I'm home. That's quite a creak. Unfortunately, all the padding was removed a long time ago, so there's not very much to show. But that creak is second to none. By padded cell.
The walk back from A block back to B block is quite a distance. You pass through several barred corridors with little cells off to each side with bright blue doors and little peepholes. It's quite eerie passing the cells. There's a sense of people looking back. Unhappy people.
I don't actually know where Matt is at the moment. Stairs to B wing, B2. And then another staircase up to B3. Oh God. Hello?
Strange sounds in B wing. They seem to emanate from the cell where Fred West was kept for a short while.
Oh, that window looks evil. Oh shit. Thought I heard some in. Right, and on this level, this is where B wing meets A wing. You alright? I think he's here somewhere. Oh, there you are. You're right, you haven't been hung yet mysteriously. The camera won't do it. What did you say?
Eventually I find Bear. He's just capturing the condemned men's cells
Okay.
and experiencing technical problems.
Well, which rooms and cells felt like you wanted to go into them as you were coming up?
Staying alone in the prison with a lot of work to get through was traumatic at times. Matt Bear Clark became convinced something was pulling on the very heavy 60-metre electrical cable that lights our rig. Some unseen hands in the darkness messing with our rig.
So this is the site of the old execution. So it's now been walled up on this side, but originally the layout was like that, with the trapdoor there to hang them. Oh look, lever. I should go back into the condemned man's cell. Might be switching the light on. Ooh, look at it, evil. This one. Lots of people would have waited here for that inevitable dawn. And each one was moved along from that cell to that one, in reverse order, to this being the last one, before they were taken through here, where there was once a door, and then they were hung by the neck.
It was at this time that I attempted to record some EVPs, electronic voice phenomena. The hope is the audio device will capture sounds or even voices that we can't hear with our ears.
Entering the condemned man's cell, number 5 of 5. 5 cells altogether, each one moving along as their time got closer. And this is the last cell. Is anybody there? Is anyone here in this cell? I know lots of people were held here before being executed, hung by the neck until you are dead.
One such famous inmate was Herbert Rose Armstrong, born 13th of May 1869 and died 31st of May 1922, executed at Gloucester Prison. He was an English solicitor and convicted murderer, the only solicitor in the history of the United Kingdom to have been hanged for murder. Arrested on 31st of December 1921 for the attempted murder of a professional rival by arsenic poisoning via a box of chocolates. He was also later charged and tried for the murder of his wife. Armstrong was hanged by John Ellis at Gloucester Prison on the 31st of May 1922. Ellis claimed that before the trap was opened in the gallows, Armstrong called out, "Kitty, I'm coming for ye," in reference to his dead wife.
They called you the hay poisoner in the end. "Oh Kitty, I'm coming for ye." Apparently your last words. Are you here? If so, make a sound. The device I'm holding can pick up on voices like a gramophone record. It will record what you say. Do you have anything to say? You protested your innocence right up until the end. I'm going to leave the recorder here on your table. Looks like a new table since you were here. And if you want anything to say it into this recorder. Recorder has been placed on the table. I'm leaving the cell. I will close the door.
I left the recorder running and left the cell.
Re-entering the room, picking up the recorder. It's hard to tell if it would have recorded anything until I listened to it back. So for now, I hope you had lots to say. Switching off.
Whether Herbert had anything to say is up for question, but there are a series of strange clicks and the sounds of movement within the cell. Atmospherics? It's up to you. Elsewhere, I became trapped in a cell after the door very mysteriously swung closed. And guess what? Cell doors are not easy to open from the inside. Instead, an embarrassing call to the boss to come let me out. With A and B block captured, it was time to venture into C block. This is a location where previous ghost hunters have reported quite startling and horrifying paranormal phenomena.
Taking a walk through across the bridge to C Wing. C Wing was the most recently built, which oddly me and Mr. Bear are finding a lot more creepy than we thought we would. It's a lot smaller than the grandeur of the big open Victorian build. Just a series of tiny corridors and slightly larger rooms, I would say, but there's a lot of them. Hello. I mean, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's over 20 rooms in this corridor alone. 13, 14. Yeah, 20 rooms. So 20 rooms in all. I have no idea what's going on in there. And that's just one corridor. There's another one that mirrors this behind me. And the whole building's on 3 floors. So, as you can imagine, there is a ton of rooms. Now, Gloucester's actually quite a small prison in comparison to most. Because, good echo. Hello. Gloucester's quite small. It could only hold 300 inmates. Only, you say, but a modern prison out in the sticks is now holding 1,500 people. I think it's nearer Bristol. But even so, 300 men, no women, which means 900 meals a day in the kitchens. Exercise yard need to be organised. And of course there were fights, suicides, murders. Yeah, not keen on C block at all. For now, goodbye.
Strangest of all, in C block, Matt experienced something he still recounts to this day. The sound of very obvious and very loud footsteps marching up to him in the corridor, in utter darkness. They stopped abruptly. Flicking on the flashlight, Matt was alarmed to find no one there.
I was doing 360 capture nodes all the way through the C wing middle floor block. It was a kind of progression, so you start one node, move to the next, move to the next, move to the next. It's a long sequence, and I had got fairly far into capturing 360 nodes. Now I'm doing these in the most pitch black, one glowing red light ominous to the end of the corridor, like a fire exit light. But generally setting up the 360 camera, which has got a incredibly bright glowing tripod light pole to capture nodes at night, and it's the full tripod so you don't get it on camera because the 360 takes pictures in every direction. So when it's capturing, I'm hiding in absolutely rancid, horrible old prison cells. They're the cells where paedophiles and murderers used to be incarcerated, just to add to the atmosphere. I'd setting up and I'd set the camera off. It takes a few minutes to calibrate and then a few more minutes to capture each node. And I was hiding in a cell and I could hear the footsteps of Jonathan coming across the bridge between buildings, because the buildings were connected with walkways 3 or 4 floors up, and I could hear the clomp of boots all the way across the bridge echoing because it was so empty. And then up the corridor to me, up the corridor right in front of the camera all the way up. So I was kind of fairly annoyed. I stepped out of the cell. I'd gone straight to the camera to turn it off, to reset it, and as the footsteps stopped behind me, I turned around to pretty much tell Jonathan, oh no, you've ruined my sequence, I'm gonna have to start again. And the corridor was completely empty. There was nobody there. In fact, Jonathan was all the way, I think he was in the far end of B wing doing sound capturing on a completely different floor. Absolutely nowhere to be seen, nowhere to be heard from where I was, and I cannot explain. The footsteps were so real and coming closer, and they stopped just behind me with my back turned to them as I was tending to the camera and resetting it. So then, yeah, when I spun around to say, "I've just ruined my sequence, I'm going to have to go again and find out what was up." And it was just a completely dark, empty, cold, horrible, rancid prison corridor with nobody there. So that absolutely freaked me out. The thing is, it had to reset anyhow. I had to carry on, so I had reset the camera already. I go back into the cell I was hiding in. I retake the picture. I have to carry on capturing, knowing full well that this thing had happened to me. I'm terrified, but you have to carry on doing the job.
To this day, Matt Bear still says that the footsteps in Gloucester Prison are amongst the spookiest and strangest phenomena he's ever heard. And he was quite right. I was busy in B Wing at the time. I was trying to summon the ghost of some of the cellmates.
It's very dark. Barely see anything. Spooky.
I was using the analog spirit box to conduct a calling out.
A fear.
Been in the 40s.
Amputated.
A moment.
Some curious responses on the spirit box. And then it was time to go further afield. There's not just 3 wings that make up the prison, there's several outbuildings, plus the antique old debtors' prison. But I was keen to see the execution yard.
Right. This is the site of the old executions, basically. Once public executions ended in the 19th century, instead they were killed here by hanging, based on an old photograph. Feels funny. But truth be told, it's all rather eerie. Is that you? Oh, I thought that was Matt. Hello?
A strange noise in the dark, barely a whisper. At first I thought it was Bear, so I venture inside. There are various rooms just off of the yard, including administrative areas, as well as the kitchens and offices. After a bit of a ramble, it was time to regroup with Bear, unaware of the fact he'd been terrified capturing the last few nodes after his encounter with heavy footsteps in C Block.
Do we know what's this way?
Laundry.
Is this is it?
Yeah, the torture case. Yes, we've done.
Okay. I'm not sure this one opens. Unfortunately it does. Still a bit of light outside, which is good. This must be the laundry. It's a toilet as well. Toilet roll.
Thankfully, while exploring, we had managed to find the one functional toilet in the whole of Gloucester Prison. This we were very thankful for. Complete with toilet roll, which was quite a rarity during the COVID era, which we were just in the middle of. After a short comfort break, it was time to get back to the job at hand. And it was during this time that Matt Bear encountered his second strange occurrence of the evening.
As the night had gone on, the 360 camera power had started to go. We couldn't charge them as fast as they were discharging, both from use, the cold, or supernatural, you could say. The cameras and the light rig we could run off a 40-meter extension cable, thankfully, and that I'd started to do. I'd set the camera up in a tiled laundry area to do some node captures, and I'd run the cable into an adjoining dead-end room, a kind of storage room, pitch black, one plug socket worked, and I'd run the cable back to the camera. Was capturing the photos, the 360 photos, whilst hiding behind a screen so I could just get the remote to connect. And I watched the tripod and the 360 camera and the light rig suddenly being pulled, bouncing along the floor, rushed out to grab it as it tipped over and nearly hit the ground, and stood it back up. What had pulled the cable and had to follow it into the completely pitch black dark room beyond, having no idea what on earth could have tugged the camera in the dark.
Next up, the kitchen areas. These are quite a modern part of the prison, but again, they're built on much older grounds of the old Norman castle. The kitchens are a large space, dominated by stainless steel fryers in the middle of the room, and off to the sides, fridges and freezers, large rooms in fact, that you could easily get locked inside.
Shit. Ooh. Bloody door. The kitchens here are actually built on the old yard where they buried lots of bodies, many of which during the works were found, but plenty of others that not only were they not found, they found others they weren't expecting to find. So, yeah, that's under here. Obviously executions at this jail. Yeah, there was a prison here since the Norman times when it had an actual keep strong enough to keep prisoners, and eventually the castle went out of favour, leaving only the jail, which was torn down, put back up, torn down, put back up, torn down, put back up, and eventually the Victorian blocks that we see today. This kitchen extension, I think, is the 1980s or 70s, and it was, like I said, built on the site of the old yard where the executions took place. That's it, that's the old yard that way. Once public hanging was stopped, so the hangings took place here, away from people's eyes. Originally the public hangings took place on the gatehouse roof for all and sundry to watch. Lots of people were executed for tiny crimes. For example, I read one woman who'd nicked some bread and butter. Actually, I think it was butter and bacon. So yeah, she had it coming. But yeah, and some executions failed. So the executioner, all recorded actually, all these people, they used to have to push down on their shoulders when their necks didn't snap. And oddly enough, it was mostly women. Maybe lighter, I don't know. Not enough bulk to snap a neck. Right. There we have the kitchens.
With Bear's work wrapping up, it was time to rendezvous. Our work at Gloucester Prison was nearly over. There was still time to look around a few of the cells together, take in the atmosphere and the experience that we'd had there.
This still stinks, doesn't it? Yeah. I think some of that's old posters and graffiti.
Yeah.
It's hard to make it see how.
Posters are still here.
What?
It's full on.
Oh.
I wonder if that's some person's poster.
What?
We're in one of the small cells in B block. On the 3rd floor,
Anyway.
there is a double bunk bed, a toilet, and a brightly coloured table. The walls are encrusted with what looks like old glue, posters, and who knows what. It's all very unsanitary.
There's a bit of a creepy changing rooms vibe to some of the furniture, don't you think? It's like, why has some of it been painted colours and then the rest of it is all plain elsewhere?
We also believe we may be in the cell of Fred West, the notorious serial killer.
It's like, oh, we're thinking of revamping Fred's furniture this week. Gonna go for burgundy and blue. I hope you rot in hell. And are rotting in hell right now. Oh, there are still bits of poster.
At this point, we are ready to pack away our gear and evacuate Gloucester Prison. With one final farewell to any ghosts that may linger, we were quite happy to leave. It was about an hour later, when we were tucking into a very late dinner or early breakfast, that we both basically explained our experiences of Gloucester Prison that night, quite alarmed to hear that both had, well, let's describe them as strange, unexplainable experiences. Quite traumatising, in fact. It's one of those places that stays with you forever after you've experienced it. We certainly won't forget Gloucester Prison.
Hello, I'm Matt Bear Clark. Thank you for listening to the Shadow Door Paranormal Podcast. Haunting history meets paranormal activity. Please like and subscribe.